culture.
Who is the king of music? Is it the king of rock and roll Elvis Presley or the king of pop Michael Jackson? This dispute has been going on for years and will never ever come to a conclusion. One thing is for sure though, is that I am a huge Elvis Presley fan, right down to the ridiculous sideburns that I rock. I'm Cal from What Culture, and here is 10 things that you probably didn't know about Elvis Presley. And Elvis was a natural blonde, by the way. I'm being generous, you can have that one for free. Number 10. He was a black belt in karate. I don't suppose you get those snake hips without some form of training, and it's been said that Elvis Presley was a very generous man. This can confirm it. The king was so much of a fan of martial arts that he gave his instructor $50,000 to start his own karate school in Memphis. Well, you're one hell of a guy, Elvis. You're one hell of a guy. Number 9. He was very generous. Leading on from number 10, Elvis's generosity is well known amongst fans and friends alike. A little less known is the particular story where the king got into the back of his limo, asking the driver,
"Hey buddy, do you own this limo or do you work for the company?"
The sheepish driver responded by stating that he worked for the company. The king replied in his soft velvety voice and said,
"Well, you own it now,"
making Elvis's tip to the driver the limo he was driving. I'm sure the driver probably said something along the lines of,
Thank you very much."
Number 8. Queen had a tribute song for Elvis. One of the most iconic bands of all time, Queen, fronted by arguably the greatest vocalist of all time and greatest frontman of all time, Freddie Mercury, had their first US #1 hit with Crazy Little Thing Called Love in 1980. Little did people know, but Freddie Mercury actually wrote this song as a tribute to Elvis Presley. He wrote it in 10 minutes while sitting in the bath. God knows what he was doing in there. I guess the king got all shook up and from beyond the grave helped them get their first ever US #1. Number 7. Colonel Parker was a marketing machine. Colonel Parker was Elvis Presley's manager and second father figure, although many reports argue that whether the controversial Colonel's input was a positive or negative one. One thing is for sure is that the Colonel knew how to make money. It's been said that at concerts, the Colonel would sell both I Love Elvis and I Hate Elvis badges just to increase the amount of money that he could possibly make. As the king of rock and roll started doing his concerts, he wanted to maximize the profit as high as he could. Actually, thinking about it, I make a killing on I Love Cal badges. Well, I suppose. Fine, I'll make I Hate Cal ones as well. Number 6. Graceland. You're more than likely aware that Elvis Presley's home is Graceland, and it's the most visited home in America after the White House. However, what you may not be aware of it is that he bought the Memphis mansion in 1957 when he was just 22 years old. He would use this 14-acre plot as his home for 2 decades. The graves of the king and his parents can be found at Graceland, and in 2006, George W. Bush became the first sitting president to visit Graceland. Number 5. Elvis bought Franklin D. Roosevelt's presidential yacht. In 1964, Elvis paid $55,000 for the 165-foot-long vessel that served as the floating White House from 1936 to 1945. After the president's death in 1945, the ship was decommissioned and the king bought it. However, he soon donated it to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which in turn sold the vessel to raise money for the hospital. Elvis had one big heart filled with burning love, and even if that heart was wooden, God, I listened to too much Elvis. That's Elvis knowledge there. That's Elvis song knowledge right there. Number 4. Elvis never performed outside of North America. An estimated 40% of Elvis's music sales have been outside the United States. However, with the exception of a teaspoon's worth of concerts that he gave in Canada in 1957, he never left North America to perform. A number of different origins have suggested that Colonel Parker turned down fruitful offers to perform overseas due to him being an illegal immigrant and feared that he would not be allowed back into the US. Elvis didn't go alone for the fear of being lonesome, and he didn't want to be cruel to the Colonel. I've done it again, I'm sorry. Don't be cruel, are you lonesome tonight? I can hear the I Hate Cal badge sales ringing. We've hit the top 3. Number 3. His school life wasn't plain sailing. Unlike other music greats, Elvis wasn't a straight-A student, stating,
"I wasn't popular in school. I failed music. The only thing I ever failed."
In school, Elvis entered a talent show and blew the roof off it, because nobody knew that he even sang. He was amazingly popular after that, and little did he know how popular he'd become with millions of fans, or 1 or 2 celebrity fans. Number 2. His underwear went on auction. In 2012, Elvis Presley's underwear was put on auction, but surprisingly, nobody bought them. Who knows why anyone would want to buy an old pair of pants, the king's or not. It's never been listed as to whether it was the early attractive double leather, double denim Elvis or the jumpsuit Viva Las Vegas carrying a couple of extra pounds Elvis. Either way, the undies didn't flog. Maybe you should have tried selling blue suede shoes instead of brown-stained skivvies. Number 1. He was once nearly kidnapped. In August 1977, just 2 weeks after the King's death, police were told by an informant about a plot to steal Elvis Presley's 900-pound steel-lined copper-plated coffin and hold his remains for ransom. With this information, a police task force was assigned to watch the grave at Forest Hill Cemetery in suburban Memphis and successfully caught 3 men, Raymond Green, Eugene Nelson, and Ronnie Atkins, snooping around Presley's grave. Just how the men were going to get through 2 concrete slabs and the solid sheet of marble that covered the coffin is completely unknown, since no tools or explosives were ever found. That also doesn't take into account how they're even going to lift the coffin without a forklift. So, fortunately that was stopped, but if they hadn't, Elvis may well have left the building. Do you know any facts about the King? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.